Today we're making pine cone mead. It's very weird, but is it good? Let's find out. So in today's video, I'm making pine cone mead. Now I didn't go and forage pine cones from a local area, although you could. I found, oddly enough, this pine cone jam. I was perusing Amazon, just buying my normal stuff, and every once in a while I see what I can get for brewing. And I stumbled across this, I think Russian, looks Russian to me, pine cone jam. This is I think an 8-ounce, 16-ounce container of it. I bought it and I said, let's do something with it. There's only a couple English words on here, and they are ingredients, sugar, green pine cones, water, concentrated lemon juice. So it's jam from green pine cones. So I combined this, which I'll show you what the pine cones look like, the real tiny. In the jams, it's a jam, you know. I combined all that with honey and water. I made a half gallon of mead. Now I'm not really gonna show you a recipe card because I don't think that it matters all that much. It's more about the experimentation and the fun of it. So we combined all of those things. We stirred it all up. We had a starting gravity of roughly about 1.0, I think 90, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put my information on screen, of course. And then we let it start fermenting. We used a pretty neutral yeast. We didn't do anything crazy. We just wanted something to ferment, something that would go through all the fermentation. I did take a time lapse of the whole fermentation process. I did have to put a blow-off tube on it because it was a pretty vigorous fermentation. So here's my time lapse of what's happening. It was like probably 2 weeks, and at one point you'll see it start to clear. Once we did that, we went ahead and moved it into a new container. Again, there's the pine cones after the fermentation. They're just in there. We then stabilized it with potassium sorbate and metabisulfite, allowing us to be able to safely back sweeten. We waited a day or two, and then we back sweetened with some clover honey. So we used clover honey, cheap clover honey on both ends because, I mean, honestly, I didn't think this was gonna be that big of a mead. So a half gallon of mead, back sweetened it. We got it up to like 1.02 something. For our final gravity, we went ahead and cleared it with Sparkaloid. So it was clear, or it is clear. Here's a bottle of it, as you can see, and bottled it. I got a 750 milliliter wine bottle and a 375 milliliter bottle, and I did a tasting of it. So let's jump to the tasting and see if green pine cones should make a good, or can make a good mead. All right, BC, you ready to taste some pine cone mead?
Yeah, we're on. Okay,
we're on, wow. We're live. So,
yeah, pine cone.
How many pine cone meads have you tasted in your life?
It's probably about like 42.
Okay. Well, this is 43, okay, so yeah, I mean, you're gonna be the professional here because I've never done a pine cone.
I've had Magolio, which is like a pine cone syrup that you make by putting green pine cones in like with brown sugar, and it like pulls the flavor into the sugar and turns into like a molasses type.
I've never heard of this. It's interesting.
It's not for everyone.
I bet. I mean, it sounds about right.
And so this sounds like a similar...
This was a pine cone syrup that was all in Russian, that the pine cones were about this big, tiny little things. I don't know if it was infused with the pine cones or if it was somehow they harvested the tree sap and then did all the things. I imagine it's just infused with pine cones.
Yeah. It sounds like Magolio.
Well, maybe this is Magolio, I don't. But made a mead with it, threw in some,
hey,
honestly,
dude, that's beautiful, cheap
honey, and back sweetened slightly after fermentation. There was a time lapse of the whole thing, which was kind of fun to watch it go. So let's find out.
Okay. I'm kind of excited. I like forage stuff like that, and I'm like really in my older age getting into like resin and
that's what all those bushes are around your house.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
mountains of bushes.
I eat pine cones for breakfast every morning. No, I like resinous stuff, like with hops. I like a big piney resin.
That makes
hop,
sense. Yeah.
You know. So this should be up my alley.
Go for it. Whoa. Has a resinous piney. It's young. Be very
Whoa.
Clear.
I don't know what I expected, but
I don't know.
It wasn't that.
It keeps going too.
Oh no, the finish is long.
The smell and the taste are very not the same.
I'm really struggling to come up with an analog for what this might taste like to somebody to like describe this flavor. It's kind of like gingerbread.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's got this middle, I mean, it does have a gingery like middle ground that's like kind of spicy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's very, on the exhale, it's spicy. It's earthy.
There's some green herbaceousness of it. That's like the pine needle.
Like dirt, like a musty forest floor.
That's my tannin.
Yeah, I mean, it's like rotting leaves. But like not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like an undercurrent of depth there.
I definitely think this will be interesting to see later on. I've got one bottle left of it sitting up there. It's gonna sit for a hot minute. And I feel like age will make it like change a little bit to where it might be more interesting. But right now there's too much going on.
Yeah, no, there's like a turpentine thing going on. That's what it like on the nose almost smells like a spirit, like an infused spirit. It doesn't really smell like a mead.
Definitely some heat. We're drinking this real young, like a month and a half, 2 months is maybe the max right now. Spoilers, I did not anticipate aging this for a hot minute because I thought this was a interesting brew that didn't really need to be aged.
There is something in there that I recognize.
Yeah.
Like it tastes like something else, but I cannot put my finger on it. But I could see this aging really lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see 2 years from now, cracking open a bottle of this, pouring a little snifter, and
now you're committing yourself to 2 years from now.
Yeah, let's do it. No,
All
it is young. You're right, but it's not bad. Young. It's not bad at all. Surprisingly good.
I mean, if you want, I'll put the link to the pine cone syrup below if you would like to also try this yourself. It's interesting for sure. And maybe you just go get some home forage. There we go.
Yeah.
Pine cones and just make your own pine cone mead. Who knows?
That is weird.
Personally, I'm not loving it, but also I could see potential. There is potential here.
I think once it ages and calms down, this could be a nice like winter sipper. Mm-hmm. You know, sit by the fire, drink some pine cones. As you do.
As one does. Go check out Doing the Most over on the Doing the Most channel or Craft-A-Brew if you want to check him out there. He's also kind of the face of Craft-A-Brew. And he's not making pine cone stuff over there, but he's making some pretty interesting content. I will say on both ends, there's some interesting stuff happening on both.
Yeah, gotta keep things interesting. Otherwise, life would be boring.
Pumpkins and bags, lots of different things. But all right, go check him out. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.